But here's the thing, it's actually a good topic to talk about. I don't know what your feeling is or how long you've been doing it, but man, it's on its head. The business has changed so much. When I came up, it was like, and stand up is always going to be its own thing. It's an outlier. And stand up is like stand up is the street fight part of show business. It's almost like this redheaded stepchild part of show business, because man, people they really, really appreciate the art of stand up, but then they piss all over it every chance they get by what flies. And that's why show business is different than actual stand up. And then what's happened in the past 7 years, I think, and I'm part of it, is the social media aspect of it, I think, has convoluted. I think stand up has, if you're thinking of like, hey, we're giving over a percentage here, we've given over a percentage of our soul, the stand up souls, to the show business, because we're like, when COVID happened, we're like, hey, we still want to work and we still want things to we still want careers. So we'll give you, we'll kind of like compromise a little bit that stand up's a little less of the cool thing here, because it's kind of true. Like it used to be like before COVID, and like, I'm not complaining. You always want to adapt, like I'm not, right. The old curmudgeon, but a lot of people know the truth that it's like before COVID, stand-ups in general still had that thing like, yeah, but at least I'm not doing dances. At least I'm not doing, maybe I have TikTok, but right. I didn't know people had TikTok, right, but like, even on Instagram, I'm putting stand-up clips up and you can't come do what I do. And then what happened was, the minute the stand-ups were like, okay, I'll go to your side, is the minute things got flipped and middle-class comedians got pushed out of the spots they would have done in clubs. Not pushed out, but the sea change happened. And now you have people who are technically stand-ups but have huge TikTok followings, and then they go do these clubs and they headline for the weekend, and it might not be somebody who's doing, and I'm just saying off experience alone, it might not be somebody who's doing 15 spots a week. You might have somebody who's like, I work on my videos and I kind of get as a consolation prize these weekends where I'm making $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is, because I'm filling the seats and it's a bar business with a show. So I get that mentality of it, but I think there's still an aspect of it where actually good stand-up will always be a thing, but the amount of times it gets saturated or that gets watered down is just, that's show business. And don't get me wrong, there's a ton of stand-ups that are amazing stand-ups that are famous. What I'm saying is, man, the big hit that happened with COVID with stand-up is the idea of, we're making your art a little bit sillier, and we're making you dance a little bit more, hypothetically, not hypothetically, as an analogy, but also not, like literally dance and figuratively dance a little bit more than you would have had to, because the way it was when I started. But also the flip side of it is, that's why you never want to be the guy who's like, I'm not doing that social media shit. It's like, okay, then you're screwed. What can I tell you?
Then you're not going to get. It's such a double-edged sword, like you said. And at Governors, we see sometimes, like you said, the weekend will sell out with some social media, a guy who's like, and then the stand-up is always lackluster. I would say 95% of the time the stand-up is lackluster. And I also think, to your point about social media, we're in a time now where, back in the day, whether it was good or bad or otherwise, the comics, one of the comedians' goals was to get a sitcom out of it or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Now it's, hey, I want to get my podcast numbers up, or I want to get my algorithm going. Yeah. It seems like they've, jumped ship of sitcoms, and because now we're seeing so many comedians that have become major players based off podcasts.
Yes. So even if you look at like a Kill Tony, which has become the biggest thing in comedy. I think it's surpassed the Joe Rogan podcast as like the biggest thing you can get on
for comedians
that can make your career. And this is like a fast track thing. I have a lot of opinions about that. I'm not a huge, it's not just because I've never been on it. I never would be asked. I'm not at that level. I don't know the guy. I know of him, but things like that are, they are doing the same thing I just described. It doesn't matter if you're putting a blanket over it, that it's, hey, but we're the DIY guys. We're the ones who are canceled, and we did. It's like you're a guy who's been doing comedy 3 years, go up and do one joke, and then it doesn't work out, and you're just fucking destroying the guy. And at least with the old gatekeeper method, he would have, he would have had a chance for a win, that, whatever it is. And so there's a lot, that's a whole conversation, but don't pretend that you're doing anybody any favors. You're just looking for content, just like the rest of it. You're not, you really don't care if somebody who's really, really trying and really means well is like doing well on your show. It's more of a matter of like, it's a shouting for it thing where you're kind of hoping it doesn't work out, because then you get a whack pack guy, or it's like shock-jock bullshit. Like, so it's like any of that stuff. It's like, it's corny as fuck to me, like a lot of these things. And I think it's like I think it's like a thing where, because I'm friendly. There's guys who do, the podcasting is taking over, where I'm friendly with a lot of guys who do podcasts, and I do podcasts myself. But I'm like, I think you have to make a choice at some point to go like, all right, this is just how, like, especially the whole, like, the old adage where you don't go after somebody's act. It's like, how, having a show like that, are you not going after somebody's act? You're doing it every episode. So it's like, how is that cool?
Oh shit! Oh my god!
Oh, gross!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Let's have some fun, Ari. Welcome to another episode of Watch Ari Shafir piss in a man's chest, everybody.
I don't know, man. I think that instead it was just like, hey, let the act first speak for itself. But if you're literally having somebody stand up and go, do one joke, and that doesn't work out, and this kid's literally shaking.
Right. Yeah.
Literally, the mic's shaking, and then you're making fun of the mic shaking, and you're saying he sucks. And it's the number one. It's like the Coliseum. It's like the Gladiator. It's insane. It's like it's one of these things. It's like you're not a stand up if you're doing that. You're just a shock jock radio host who's trying to get content for his radio show, and you're fucking. It's corny. It's really corny.
You don't look 19.
I don't look 19?
No.
Yeah, tell that to bartenders, man.
Yeah.
You look like both the pedophile and the victim. Very rare type of human to be able to look like both.
It is very much, I've never thought of it that way. Like taking a show like Kill Tony is very much like a shock jock style thing, where they're just kind of trying to embarrass people, maybe humiliate people, or some people come out.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, some people do come out, doing well. That dude David, I can't think of his name. He does a lot of roasts on there with Tony a lot.
Yeah, the big guy.
Yeah, the big guy. Yeah, and
David something.
Yeah,
here's the thing. I'll do a caveat that I mean here. It's the biggest thing in comedy. Like, I get it. I get why people do it. I get why this guy does it. The guy who runs it, because it's making him so much money. I do think it's made some people's careers, but I also think that one guy, David Lucas,
yeah.
You look like you should be on the front of a gay cigarette box.
Do they have gay cigarettes? I want a carton if they do.
You got to smoke that motherfucker the backwards.
But I see, and I think it's a thing where it's like, if it works out for you, of course you'd be doing it. I would just never run a show where I'm shitting on people's acts. That guy's like a regular. It'll help that guy, and he's competent, whatever it is. They have these lambs going to get slaughtered. Not all the time. I get the idea where it can help you out, but even the ones that helps out, it's like, who's the guy, Hans Kim or something like that, and the other guy. All these guys will just seem like it seems like Stern in the '90s with a whack pack.
60 seconds uninterrupted. This is Hans Kim.
What's up? Holy shit.
It doesn't seem like guys that you're like, hey, here's just kind of a down the middle guy who's trying things out that we're going to, because think about it this way. If it's not somebody who's like shocking the audience a little bit, it's all comics in the audience. It's not somebody who's shocking them a little bit, or kind of like whack tacky, or a little bit weird, a little bit odd. That's going to like, hey, you can come back and be like a character on the show. Right. But if you're just a solid comic that goes up and one joke doesn't go well, and then you get pounced on. Yeah. Come on, man. Is that cool to do? Nah, it's not. It sucks.
No,
but the flip side of it, like, the guy makes a lot of money doing that, man. They're doing Madison Square Garden. It's the biggest thing ever. I get it. I get why you do it. I guess why you'd be tempted to do it. But
yeah, like if you're an open micer and you know the risk, you still might, because like you said, the social media gives you that instant fame. So they might do it, even though they know they're going for a slaughter. They still might do it.
100%. That's another thing.
Weird to me, but yeah.
The other thing is, I get I'm not saying that it's their fault that these guys go on and fail on the show. These guys are grown. They're adults. They can make up their own mind. They can deal with everybody's grown up. You can deal with a loss. I'm just saying that the inherent premise of the show doesn't seem like something that was made up by an actual stand-up. It just seems like somebody's trying to be shitty to people. Even if it works out for some of the people, it's still a shitty premise. But it's worked out. It's worked out like gangbusters.
I'll be honest with you, dude. That shit sucks. What are you gonna do?
What am I supposed to do? I mean,
Tackle
I feel like I'm getting yelled at by a high school football coach.
You are.
I remember early on watching Kill Tony, like when they were still in California and was just starting to bubble. And I remember not thinking that I would never have imagined it would have become what it is now. Like I would never would have thought that there would be like compared to, the Tonight Show for comedians nowadays. I never I heard somebody say that the other day.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
it is.
It kind of is, if you think about it.
It is, but it's also like, all right. So it is, but it's also like American Idol when they had like William Hung up, and they let him get past the second round because they were hoping that they would shit all over.
She bangs, I'm wasted by the way she.
Thank you. You can't sing, you can't dance, so what do you want me to say?
And I have no professional training of singing.
No.
So it's like you're just American Idol for fucking like dudes in hoodies from Austin or whatever, whoever's showing up. And then on top of that, it's like it becomes like I wouldn't think it either, but it's like I think like he's good buddies with Joe Rogan. Like you have big names on that show, so that gets you that. But I wouldn't have thought it would have been a big deal anyway. But people do dig watching that kind of stuff. Like they dig. I'm guilty of it. I've watched not that, but I mean like I've seen a handful of clips from that show. But I've watched I've watched some of those American Idol auditions and shit. Like I get it. People like it almost like makes you feel better about yourself and your shortcomings or something, whatever it is. So, but don't get me wrong, man. Like it's a success. Those people can do it. They know what they're getting into. I think I would say 9.5 out of 10 of them know that I might get destroyed on this. This guy's Mike Pouncey. So saying that, like, go ahead, go for it. But I think if you're thinking like philosophically, I think you're shitty for doing it. I do think it's instead of just being a funny stand-up, because it's like, it's the podcast show business equivalent of like a guy after somebody meeting you at a bar or something or through friends and going, "You're a comedian? Tell me a joke. Tell me a joke." Who loves that?
Over the course of a lifetime, the average human being takes 800 million decisions. 800 million decisions. So of course we're gonna take a few bad ones, and that's how I get laid. Thank you very much.